This week on Vaticano, travel with us on Pope Leo's historic first apostolic journey through Turkey and Lebanon and discover how the Church is alive in these ancient lands. Latvia's Prime Minister, Evika Silina, sits down with EWTN for an exclusive interview right after her meeting with Pope Leo and witness a moment unseen for more than a millennium, the relic of the Holy Blood of Jesus, brought from Mantua to Rome for the first time in 12 centuries. For this and more, Vaticano starts now. On his very first trip abroad as Pope, Leo XIV chose a destination that literally sits between continents. The visit began in Ankara, Turkey's capital. Pope Leo stopped first at the mausoleum of modern Turkey's founder, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, before heading to the presidential palace to address political leaders and diplomats. There he urged Turkey to embrace its calling as a bridge, not just between Asia and Europe, but between religions, cultures, and even warring nations.
Indeed, a society is alive if it has a plurality. For what makes it a civil society are the bridges that link its people together.
President Recep Tayyip Erdogan stressed religious coexistence and support for a Palestinian state, while the Pope praised Turkey's diversity and urged stronger protection for families and women, a pointed message after Turkey left the Istanbul Convention. While the Pope was in Ankara, Christians in Istanbul, the old capital of Eastern Christianity, were preparing to welcome him.
The Basilica of St. Anthony of Padua is the largest Catholic church here in Istanbul. Not only Catholic faithful, but also many Muslims come here every day. They ask the Franciscan fathers who run the church for advice, spiritual guidance and prayer.
Taki czy inny powód ich tutaj popycha. Właśnie wtorek jest.
And for one reason or another, they're drawn here. On Tuesdays, a priest is available in one place in the church, and all day long there is a line of people waiting to speak about their problems or to ask for a prayer.
Wielu naszych chrześcijan nie ma okazji.
Many of our Christians have no chance to go to Rome, not only in this Jubilee year, but at any time. Most are economic migrants who simply cannot leave Turkey. So for us, this visit is a great joy.
Żyjemy jak sąsiedzi, którzy się wzajemnie szanują.
There have also been tragic moments. Last year, 2 terrorists opened fire in our other Franciscan church, killing one Turkish friend of the parish.
Który był przyjacielem kościoła.
From the capital and formal meetings, Pope Leo flew to Istanbul, home to Turkey's tiny Catholic community, about 33,000 people in a nation of more than 85 million, overwhelmingly Sunni Muslim.
I'm here for over 10 years in Turkey. So here we have I'm a strong Christian. I'm a Catholic. So we have our church here in St. Anthony. Yeah, I'm an Orthodox. So I'm very happy to receive the Papa.
I love this country and its inhabitants.
His first stop was at the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit, where he thanked priests, nuns, and lay workers who keep that community alive, telling them their mission isn't to dominate, but to be, in his words, a little leaven in society. That little leaven takes concrete form just outside central Istanbul, where the Little Sisters of the Poor were preparing to welcome him.
We are looking after poor, elderly persons who have maybe very meager pension means, have other problems, and are looking for a home. So we bring them to our home here, and we try to make it their own home, feel at home. So that is our core mission, but it must be done in a Christ-like spirit.
It's a bit difficult, the life here, because as a Catholic religious institution, we cannot do what we want. We can't do any activities that we want to, or we cannot share our faith with others. because the reason is they may think we are trying to convert them. So that's why we have to be very careful. But in our own ways, we try to help them, to be with them when they are sick, dying. We stay with them.
Hospitality is a gift of this home. Thank you to everyone.
From Istanbul, the Pope boarded a helicopter to Iznik, ancient Nicaea, to mark the 1700th anniversary of the First Council of Nicaea, where bishops first articulated the Nicene Creed that Christians still recite today.
According to major experts on the early centuries of the faith, the imperial palace of Constantine, right behind me, is believed to be the very spot where the Council of Nicaea took place exactly 1700 years ago.
Here in Iznik, at the ruins of the imperial palace of ancient Nicaea, the local archaeologist explains why Pope Leo chose a very different place to pray for Christian unity.
And this very celebration of Nicaea in the Basilica of a Martyr is a reminder that Christians in the East pay a very high price for being faithful to Christ. So for me, it is also incredibly beautiful that Leo is not coming to the imperial palace itself, which you might look for here, but comes to the tomb of a martyr, in order also to pay homage to all those who gave their lives for the faith.
Side by side with Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew and other church leaders, Leo prayed for a future in which Catholics and Orthodox might finally move from division to full communion. At the end of their service, they signed a joint declaration, reaffirming their resolve to keep walking toward restored unity and rejecting any use of God's name to justify violence. From Christian unity to interfaith dialogue, the next day in Istanbul, Pope Leo followed his predecessors into the city's famous Blue Mosque, shoes off, in a gesture of respect to Turkey's Muslim majority. But unlike John Paul II, Benedict XVI, and Francis, he didn't stop for a visible moment of prayer, despite an invitation from the Imam. The Vatican later clarified that the Pope experienced the visit in a spirit of contemplation and listening, a nuanced choice that underlined both respect for Islam and his focus on healing Christian division. Pope Leo's last big event in Turkey was a packed mass at Istanbul's Volkswagen Arena, the first time a pope has celebrated a public liturgy in such a setting here. Around 4,000 Catholics came from across the country, a reminder that this tiny minority still wants to contribute to Turkey's future.
The first bond of unity that I just mentioned is the one within this church, which in this country consists of 4 different liturgical traditions. The sharing of these differences clearly demonstrates one of the most beautiful features of the face of the bride of Christ, a Catholicity that unites.
We are a small church. We are a very small church, very small community. We feel our weakness, but as a Saint Chrysostom, John Chrysostom says that if you renounce to your weakness, the Lord will not we will not be able to act in your life. We have the hope. God, Jesus is risen from the dead. We don't have. There is no fear on a personal level. We shouldn't fear for the future of the church.
In a few moments, we'll be back with more on Vaticano. On the second leg of his first apostolic journey, Pope Leo XIV visited another flock in the Middle East, Lebanon, the land of the cedar trees. A country deeply marked by conflict and crisis, wounded by the recent war, ongoing cross-border attacks, and years of economic collapse. Lebanon stands at a crossroads, and its people have placed great hope in the Pope's first visit to their country.
The meaning of this visit is to bring hope, Christian hope, that is for everybody, for Christians and not Christians. Hope that never dies, that never let you down. What I expect, that heart would be touched by his message.
A few days after the bombing of Beirut, he did not withdraw. He did not cancel his visit. For us, this is a very courageous act, to come here to a country at war, to bring peace, to build peace together.
The Pope's second day in Lebanon began in profound stillness at the tomb of Saint Charbel Makhlouf, a Maronite monk venerated far beyond Lebanon's borders, even by believers of other religions. Pope Leo XIV is the first pope to visit Saint Charbel's resting place in Anaya, a gesture that has become a powerful sign of solidarity and of Lebanon's interreligious coexistence, since Christians and Muslims alike come here on pilgrimage. Welcomed by Lebanese Maronite representatives and the President of the Republic, Joseph Aoun, Pope Leo paused for a moment in prayer. From there, the Holy Father traveled to Harissa, where the great Marian sanctuary of Our Lady of Lebanon overlooks the Bay of Junay. Inaugurated in 1908, the shrine has become a national place of pilgrimage, a center of interfaith encounter, and a spiritual point of reference for the whole country.
For Muslims and Christians, because they too venerate the Madonna. Mary is also present in the Quran. They have a great esteem and respect for the Madonna.
The meeting with clergy, religious, and pastoral workers was not just a moment of prayer, but a powerful expression of communion and of the deep sense of unity that binds the church together. Later, the day blossomed into pure celebration.
This is Lebanon. Our church is always alive. Every event, you can see all these youth in our events and everything. So this is not shocking for us. And we're so honored today to welcome Pope Leo into our lands, into our home. Because today, Pope Leo, he united the youth from all of Lebanon, and you can see everybody's happy.
Thousands of young people, not only from Lebanon, but also from other countries of the Middle East, like Syria or Iraq, have gathered here in the heart of Beirut for this very special and the most colorful meeting of the whole Papal trip, to give their warmest welcome to Pope Leo and to hear his message of dialogue, peace, and unity.
The Pope's meeting with 15,000 young people was a vibrant tapestry of enthusiasm, a living reminder of Lebanon's youthful spirit and its deep longing for a peaceful and united future. The country is home to one of the Middle East's largest Christian communities, which encompasses 30% of the population, alongside Muslims and several other religious minorities.
Yet there is hope, and there is hope within you. You have a gift that many times we adults seem to have lost. You have hope, you have time, you have more time to dream, to plan, and to do good.
The last day of his schedule was busy. In the morning, he visited the Hospital de la Croix, one of the largest facilities in the Middle East, intended for the care of people with psychiatric illnesses and managed by the Congregation of the Franciscan Sisters of the Cross of Lebanon. The patients received him with great enthusiasm. The Pope thanked the hospital staff for their work, despite the not always favorable conditions in which they work. Then the Holy Father prayed at the Beirut port, where the explosion of ammonium nitrate left more than 200 dead and almost 7,000 injured in 2020. Parents, children, and survivors of the explosion greeted the Pope one by one. Many held photographs of their loved ones. More than 100,000 people awaited Pope Leo for the final event of his apostolic trip at the Beirut waterfront to participate in the Eucharistic celebration. During his homily, the Holy Father invited the Lebanese to maintain their attitude of gratitude, especially for what he called the unique beauty of their land. However, he stressed that they are spectators and victims of how evil in its many forms can tarnish this wonder. The Holy Father assured his prayers for the people of Lebanon and said he carried in his heart their sufferings and hopes. Before leaving for Rome, Leo XIV was thanked by President Aoun, who said goodbye and expressed his gratitude for the message of unity that was proclaimed during his visit. The Pope said goodbye with a message of peace for the Middle East.
Embracing all of you, I express my aspiration for peace, along with a heartfelt appeal. May the attacks and hostilities cease. We must recognize that armed struggle brings no benefit. While weapons are lethal, negotiation, mediation, and dialogue are constructive. Let us all choose peace as a way and not just as a goal.
Latvia's Prime Minister, Evika Silina, joined a national pilgrimage from Latvia to Rome, marking 100 years since the country's first official visit to the Eternal City. Receiving the Latvian pilgrims in the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV acknowledged their fears in the shadow of the war in Ukraine and urged them not to lose hope, but to seek the peace that only God can give.
100 years since first time our pilgrimages came.
Afterwards, the Prime Minister sat down with the head of EWTN Latvia, Father Richard Rašnakiš, to talk about Latvia's Christian roots, its ecumenical tradition, and its relationship with the Holy See.
What are your feelings and what are your thoughts after the meeting with the Pope and participating in a pilgrimage?
This visit to Rome was very important for me as well, to show that Latvian government works together and is together with our Latvian people who are believers, to whom to be in Vatican is very important, and to meet just inaugurated Pope, for us it's important to show that we really cherish the values of religions and Christianity. And the new Pope was very surprised and happy that so many pilgrims from Latvia came to Vatican.
Did you mention him about ecumenical tradition in Latvia?
Yes, I told him that we actually have an economical tradition where as well government is participating in our state Independence Day, for example, that many churches can come together and pray together for our country, for our people. And what is important, peace in the world right now. And what I can say, Pope knows very well the political situation as well with Russia and Ukraine, and he knows how difficult it is for Latvia to stay strong in such a very hard geopolitical situation.
And where you see the areas of cooperation between Latvia and Holy See?
I think many traditions, cultural traditions, are those where we can share our practices, and Agluana celebration, where as well government is usually participating, and many people come from different, sometimes not only Catholic churches, to celebrate this Day of Virgin Mary is a good opportunity for Vatican and Latvian to show the people the hope, the long-term vision, that there is hope, there is something which is about today's problems, and therefore Pope said he is praying for Latvia, so therefore we can be sure that we are not alone.
And can you share what support Latvian government gives to Christian community or communities, and for example, maybe it's sacred heritage?
Yeah, every year in our budget we have a special program for many donations to Christian churches, which can be used for historical sites, for some reconstruction works, and every year there is some special needs which we are trying to decide how we can help church as well, because we really know how important it was after Soviet time when Christians were not allowed to go to the church and pray, to not give up on those Christian values for our people as well. I know that many young people as well now join churches because in such a troubling time with social media, it can give hope. I myself has been working on Alpha Horse, so I know how good sometimes Christianity can be on your inner strength, and I'm a believer, so I believe we can, and I can show to young generations that we can be strong in our values and not to give up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go away, we'll be back soon with more on the sacred worship of the relic of the Holy Blood of Christ. For the first time in over 12 centuries, the relic of the most precious blood of Christ has left Mantua. Guarded for centuries in the Basilica of Sant'Andrea, the relic was brought to Rome, to the shrine of San Salvatore in Laudo, thanks to an initiative led by its rector, Monsignor Pietro Bongiovanni.
L'occasione del Giubileo si è...
The occasion the Jubilee provided, so to speak, is a favourable opportunity. It is the first time that the most precious blood has left the territory of the Diocese of Mantua. And therefore, it is an extremely exceptional event. Why in this church? It's really just a matter of chance. Since I am from Mantua, I urge the bishop so that it would be possible to celebrate an opportunity of this kind.
Celebrare una opportunità di questo genere.
In St. Peter's Basilica lies the very object that marked the historical beginning of this tradition. The Roman soldier Longinus pierced Christ's side with his spear, from which blood and water gushed out. Witnessing this led to the soldier's conversion, which urged him to collect the soil from under the cross that was soaked in Jesus' blood. After Longinus died, Christians buried his body along with the chest of blood-soaked soil to prevent the relic from being stolen.
Secoli dopo, intorno al IV secolo,
centuries later, around the 4th century, the first church in Mantua was built over Longinus's burial site called San Lorenzo. The Bishop of Mantua had a vision, and he had excavations carried out in this church of San Lorenzo to see what was beneath the altar. And there they found the body of Longinus and the chest with the relic of the most precious blood. From that point on begins a documented history of this relic. That is, from the year 800.
Da allora inizia la storia documentale di questa reliquia, cioè dall'anno 800.
The veneration of relics has a way of bringing faith closer to us. But what is it that makes the relic of Christ's blood stand out so significantly?
È un segno di misericordia, perché quel sangue ci richiama.
And it is a sign of mercy, because that blood reminds us of the great heart of God for humanity. A heart that is always ready for forgiveness, for welcoming, for a deep embrace, for mercy. In one word, and this is the great meaning, to kneel before the relic. But above all, because the true center of all this is the Eucharistic mystery. Let us never forget that on the altar, when Mass is celebrated, the sacrifice of Calvary is renewed.
Quando si celebra la messa, si rinnova il sacrificio del Calvario.
During the 10 days that the relic was present in Rome, the sanctuary of San Salvatore in Laudo saw great numbers of faithful gathering in prayer.
La gente si avvicina con una grande fede.
They take part with deep emotion. They kneel, they pray, they go to confession. And so it has been a truly extraordinary moment of the faith that leaves us with a profound impression and also a deep inner motivation. Jesus went to the cross, shedding his blood for our redemption. It is one of the central mysteries of our faith. So to venerate the blood of Christ means to venerate Jesus in the mystery of salvation, in the mystery of the redemption carried out for us sinful human beings.
Nel mistero della redenzione operata a favore di noi uomini peccatori.
After leaving the Eternal City and returning to Mantua, the relic of the blood of Christ has left a lasting reminder of the saving sacrifice of Jesus on the cross.